messages I received? The 30
That's
plus?
exactly what we're going to be talking about today. Hey, guys, we are live right now. Iris Medic, this is an amazing time for us. This is truly an amazing time for Keith, John, and I. You know, we have been discussing citizenship-based taxation. That's actually how I met Keith and John back in 2016 is when I met them. And we have been talking about this for years, and it's been a constant topic of the podcast. You know, I have clients overseas with assets overseas, and I see firsthand how they are punished by the U.S. tax code. I see firsthand how people who, you know, they go and try to fix a problem, they go to U.S. tax professional, and that tax professional blows it up every which way. So I've seen firsthand, and this channel has been dedicated, you know, really, I mean, for the most part, we talk about other IRS issues, but for the most part, this channel has been dedicated to the issues of the American abroad and the tax implications of citizenship-based taxation. So here it is. I think it's like we've been called up to the majors. Is that what it feels like to you a little bit, Keith? Here it is. Our little pet project is now going mainstream a little bit here.
It is going mainstream, and the I don't know what the right word is, the fallout or the response has been absolutely shocking.
Shocking. So yeah, just to reach, you know, everyone's joining live. They're picking up. We're going a little early tonight, so we'll just do a little chit chat till we get to our main presentation. But it's amazing. I mean, what Trump did politically, and I would just say this: look, if you don't like him, hate him, whatever, just look at this political gift. What he did. And John sent some slides over, and we're going to be going over that. And now I'm really looking at John's slides in a much different way because, you know, what I was mentioning on Wednesday's podcast was that, you know, what Trump did, because this is what we've been saying, and this has been our mistake. We've been saying end citizenship-based taxation. Well, we've had to do podcasts to explain what citizenship-based taxation is. And so there's no shorthand vernacular for the regular person into this world because we're saying a concept they don't understand yet. So how can we get any, right? But Trump went in and I didn't realize it, but you know, I was like, there was a much better way to say this.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a much better way to approach this. And so Trump says these words, and double taxation. Whoa. Now that's something everybody can understand and everybody can relate to. Wait, you're going to doubly tax me? I mean, we're already multiple taxed in other ways. We're not going to talk about that right now, but this is utterly amazing. And now this is what, you know, we're going to get, you know, now this is, you know, now Keith.
Yes.
Keith, you're not a Republican, are you?
No, I used to be. I did. But no, I was actually part of Republicans Abroad, which was the precursor to Republicans Overseas. I was actually on the board of directors for Republicans Abroad France back in the day. But, you know, I don't want to say evolve. My views have changed significantly over the years, just living outside the United States. So, no, I'm really not a Republican, and certainly not a Republican of today. I'm not. And I'm not a fan of Trump. I don't like it. But what I do like is the statement that he came out with. And it's a golden nugget of information that needs to be shared with the public at large and specifically with Americans overseas.
And you guys want to see that video? Should I put it on the stage? You want to watch it? I got it queued up.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And the audio should be coming through. I figured out that issue. So let me just try to get this going here. So here it is. President Trump. This is an amazing thing. We're going to watch.
To all my fellow Americans living abroad, I need you to join me right now in saving our country. Our country is in very serious trouble. You have to make sure that you are registered and you are going to vote because I'm going to take very good care of you. I'm going to take care of our nation. We're in a failing nation, and we're going to bring it back, and we're going to bring it back strong. Once and for all, I'm going to end double taxation on our overseas citizens. You've been wanting this for years, and nobody has listened to you, and you deserve it, and I'm going to do it. It's the right thing to do, and no American leader has ever been willing to stand up and commit to you the way that I have on many things, but this is a very important element for your safety, security, and frankly, for your wallet. But I'm not like everyone else. I get things done. When I say it, I get things done. So I'm going to get this done for you. It's a big one, ending double taxation. And you are going to be very happy when I'm back at office and get it done for you. So I need you to get out and vote. Cast your vote today. Remember, we're in a failing nation. It's a nation in decline. I'm going to turn it around. Don't wait to vote. Make sure you're registered and cast your vote as soon as you can. God bless you and God bless our beautiful country. Thank you very much.
You know, Anthony, I never realized he's dressed in red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Blue.
All right. Yeah. He is right. Yeah, here, let's just.
In a failing nation.
There it is.
Right.
Red, white, and blue. Look at this.
Right.
Look at this.
You
Go
know,
ahead, Keith.
Yeah, I mean, as I said before, and I'm not going to beat a dead horse, I'm not a fan of his. I'm not a fan of his rhetoric. However, this is big stuff for him to come out and say this. This is because whether you believe him or not, it puts this at the forefront of nobody else has talked about this at the level of a U.S. presidential candidate or a president or anybody. No one at all. And this is information that needs to be shared far and wide. And that's what I did. That's what I did in my group. And as a result of sharing just the information in my group, the level of vitriol and nastiness in the public posts and in the private messages I received from Democrats was astounding. I had, and I'll give you an example of.
Give us one example.
Are we? Is it okay to? I mean, this is what happened. Is it okay to cuss on the podcast?
If it's S, that's okay. If it's F, probably not.
Okay, well, it's not F. So I got, just to give you an example of the vitriol, I received a private message amongst 35 messages, and the woman said to me that what I put up was a lie and disgusting, and to take your head and stick it up your lily white ass. These are the types of messages I receive privately. It's just incredible. And here's the thing, and I had to do this repetition almost with every comment on the post yesterday is, if you don't believe him, if you don't like him, it doesn't matter. Take that and push back on your party, on Democrats abroad. Have them get in front of the Kamala Harris campaign and get her statement on whether she supports ending double taxation for Americans overseas or not. Spewing vitriol does not do any good.
Oh my God. This is just I mean, and this is the thing, so I just wanted to say, I watched the video before, stunned when I watched before. So this is not the first time I'm watching the video, and my breath is taken away. It's as if, this is a projection of a dream of mine. I'm like, yeah, one day someone's going to get up there. President Trump's going to get up there and he's just going to get it. And he's going to bring this to the forefront. And it's hard for me to even believe that this would happen. And here it is. And now this is the magic that he did. This is the problem I did. And this is where Democrats have to understand. You better respond, because you are in a very bad position, because now you're in a position where you have to defend double taxation, right? Because most Americans don't care enough. Oh, you're taxed overseas, tough crap. But when someone is defending double taxation, that's wait, who are you? What are you going to do to me? Wait, what's this all about? That is the biggest problem the Democrats have, and you got to recognize that. It's a huge problem.
Right. But there's also an issue here that I must just put out there, and I would like certainly, John, and your feedback on this, because this is great what he said, but under the same token, he has also questioned the expat vote and the integrity of the expat vote. So he is asking for the vote, but then he's questioning the vote, even from the military overseas vote. So that's a problem there. That's a problem. So I don't know how that is going to be handled. It certainly doesn't take away from what he stated.
Yeah, or we're not going to get into election integrity issues, right? I want to get into John's slide because we have a limited amount of time.
No, I understand, but there is a contradiction there, is all I'm saying.
I don't see it that way, Keith.
Okay.
I would just say, okay, now we got John's slide. John was nice enough to do this, and I went through these slides, and I think it's incredibly illuminating, sort of where John kind of brought me to this. Good morning, John. Good morning to you. The great John Richardson is with us. Everything's gonna be okay. Here we go. All right, let's get going here. So here it is, a great title. When it comes to ending double taxation, the problem is not America, it's Americans, because here it is. The dream is here. The dream is here. We would expect that expats like, yes, we have someone up going for it. Yes, someone explain the issue, but no. We're getting comments like, Keith, and you're this is terrible. This is terrible. So this is your response, I take it, John?
They don't want it.
They don't want it, right? They want it. They want.
It's unbelievable to me that anybody, the only people who could oppose this are people who are fundamentally in favor of citizenship taxation, fundamentally in favor of their lives being ruled by the U.S. government, by their being owned lock, stock, and barrel by the U.S. government. I mean, that's the way it is. People can pretend it isn't. But I mean, if you believe that somehow the United States has the right to restrict the activities, leaving aside taxation, of its citizens once they leave the United States, you obviously don't believe in personal freedom. I mean, that's the bottom line. You can dress it up any way you want. Anyway. So my point is this, and I've been saying this, by the way, for years, that, you know, as an observer of this issue for so many years, the reason that it's been so difficult to get this into the public discussion, you know, as possibly, you know, a legislative issue in the spring, et cetera, is because not enough Americans have come together to demand it. Okay. There's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, the simple truth of the matter is that, you know, it's a very, very complex issue and it's way beyond the pay grade of most individuals. So they're kind of reduced to seeing in terms of, you know, how does it affect them, et cetera. But it doesn't affect the bottom line, okay, which is that not only have Americans failed to come together to unite over this issue, which is really, I think, what's the necessary condition to solve this, but they actually spend time fighting with each other over it. I mean, it is simply unbelievable. But But more explanation here as we go through this.
All right, yeah, exactly. That is what's going on. So let's get going here. So there it is. There it is. Red, white, and blue.
The video,
and double taxation.
By the way, I've got to say that, you know, the you know, I think the announcement from Republicans overseas came, I think, a week or so ago, and you know, everybody was saying, "Well, we haven't heard it from Trump."
Right.
I mean, so there it is, and it is a very, very, very precise, powerful statement in terms of the recognition of the problem. Maybe not exactly how to solve it, but it's there. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. And the people who, you know, are saying, "Well, you know, this is not coming directly from President Trump, what have you." I mean, you're going to have to stop that now, okay?
And that's kind of where I was first. I'm like, all right, maybe he said something at the end of a speech, you know, could go either way. No, not this. No. He owns it.
That's pretty clear, isn't it?
He owns it, right?
All right, next. There's
link. And I did. We already went through that. Okay, we'll move on.
Continuing on here now. Here's the thing, right? You know, aren't all Americans in support of ending the double taxation? Now, I've given you my bottom line, you know, that basically the problem is support from individuals. The reason is this, that it's, you know, as we've talked about this ad nauseum, right? But as a reminder, it's American immigrants who are tax residents of another country, plus the United States, who are trying to make a life in that other country whose lives are being destroyed by that. Possibly the few accidentals who are compliant, but that's the group who's really hurt by this. The others aren't. And the others are afraid of change, you know, that maybe it becomes worse. So next.
John, I'm sorry. I have to interrupt for a second, and you tell me if you're going to address this. Is that right now, as we're speaking, I'm getting some messages, is that Trump is not supporting ending citizenship-based taxation.
Yeah, we'll get there. Don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, great.
Okay.
Now so we're going to get to that.
Now the reason, we'll get there. And if we don't, raise it. Okay. But the reason that, you know, people aren't jumping on the bandwagon is that you have these people who, you know, are worried that, you know, a change from citizenship tax to residence, it would make them non-residents. and would hurt them, and retirees abroad expect AARP to jump in on this. Now, here's something that's interesting, okay, and this applies to the wealthy. We ought to do a podcast on it at some point, but it is possible for some U.S. citizens to actually use a treaty tie break to avoid taxation in the country where they really live, okay, by claiming under the treaty that they're U.S. residents. I've met a few people who've managed that over the years, so they're not going to support this. The wealthy absolutely are not going to support this. No way. Okay, citizenship taxation is essentially a gift for the super wealthy who actually can leave the United States, live outside the United States, and not be subject to the kinds of departure taxes that some other countries have. Why is it a gift? Because their center of gravity, financial gravity, is not in those. It's in the U.S., right?
Yeah.
So, citizenship taxation is really a gift for the wealthy, right? So you can expect opposition there.
Well, and I also would say this too. There's incredible tax planning that you can do as a wealthy American.
Oh, that's right.
And,
that's right.
right. And, and I'll just mention very quickly one that is beyond and compare private placement life insurance. And basically your lifestyle, you borrow from the death benefit of a life insurance policy. Now, life insurance policy is basically a wrapper for your entire financial assets. So you can live your entire life tax-free, no problem at all, regardless of what country, if you live in the US, what state you are, you're completely able to go wherever you are, and your financial center of gravity is totally in the United States. So whatever is going on in those countries, who cares?
Yeah.
So absolutely, there are some things that, people don't want you to know how it really works. That's for sure.
There's no question about it. Okay. So you're not going to get support on this from, people
Right.
with a lot of money.
Right. No. Why? Because you're right. And this is also the thing is like, look, for the wealthy, the tax code is a great thing because it keeps you down and away from them. So it's
Anthony, it's a great thing because of the complexity. I'll get to this later.
Oh, right. Yeah. That too.
Fascinating book by Thomas Frank called Listen Liberal.
Yeah.
It's
Right
really
on.
the Democrats.
I got that link up. Okay, great. We'll move on.
But one of the things that he talks about is how complexity benefits large,
always
people, et cetera. But anyway,
of course,
we have the ones who are indifferent and don't care, the ones who are not filing, probably most accidental Americans. They never owe U.S. tax and have simple returns. They're not going to get excited about this.
Yeah.
People who have a job and use the foreign earned income exclusion. They don't run small businesses or invest because if they did, they'd see the problems here. Or they're not really aware of their tax obligations. Now, the point is that if you think about it that way, there's one hell of a lot more people who are not out actively supporting change than are, right? I mean, this is the persecution of one group of people. Well, it's the persecution of all Americans because it makes it harder for them to leave. But it is a very specific and heightened persecution of the immigrants, right, who left the United States or trying to make a life in another country and who are taxed.
How dare you? How dare you, American?
Not enough support. Next. Okay. So I think I've been over that already. Okay. Next slide. And of course, now this is exploited hugely by the compliance industry, which was really created by the Democrats in 2010 with the Obama administration. I mean, every U.S. expat tax person who's making a huge living every morning should thank the Democrats and Barack Obama, right? For the whole FATCA thing that illuminated this. But there really is huge is a little strong. There's a significant industry built around citizenship taxation. It's tax preparers mainly, financial planners, huge growth in financial planners, lawyers actually to a lesser extent because people don't realize where they need lawyers and where they don't. But the other thing is that the compliance community spreads the myths, the absolute ignorant garbage that somehow tax treaties prevent double taxation. I mean, if you're looking for a tax preparer, you want to interview them, just why don't you go in and say, I got a question. I've read the tax treaties prevent double taxation. Is that true? If they say yes, walk out. Next.
Yeah, that is not true. It does not.
Okay. Now, Democrats abroad, okay, I really, look, I'm not a Democrat. I'm actually independent. And, I'm sure that my distaste for a lot of what the Democrats do is probably well known, but that's not partisanship. These are just statements of what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's clear that they absolutely exploit the lack of unity. They really exploit it. Now, let me tell you, okay, the whole vote from abroad brigade, all right, it is Democrats abroad. Nothing wrong with that. Okay, it'd be better if they said it was Democrats abroad, but it is Democrats abroad. But it's also a coalition of, longtime members of the Democratic Party, people like former Ambassador Bruce Hayman in Canada. Now, in July of 2023, he put up a tweet saying, "Is it time to change the way Americans abroad are taxed?" Okay, and that had some response. But I think what he was really doing was thinking ahead and thinking, should the Democrats make this an issue? Should DA and the vote from abroad brigade make this an issue? In our marketing onslaught that's going to come. And then there was, I wouldn't say that there was huge commentary on it, and partly as a result of that, and partly because of how do you address the issue. What's fascinating is, and you got to admire DA's marketing. Okay, I mean they really blasted the world, scoured the world, trying to get out from under a rock, or even if necessary, invent a U.S. citizen. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
To find a vote, etc. But what they never do, is talk about the tax problem. What they have done essentially is sort of downloaded or sequestered it to Democrats abroad tax, which although, generally I admire their energy and their work, in some days I wonder if they aren't really just sort of a front for the Democratic Party, making it seem like they care about this issue when they really don't.
Well,
Okay.
when you look, and we'll get to their response of, and it does seem that way. I mean, it's a comical, sad response so far.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
yeah, we'll get that.
So here, so the Democratic Party, I mean, constantly trolling for votes while specifically being unwilling to acknowledge this issue. Okay, trolling for votes, fine. Trolling for votes when we're saying we want your vote, but we're not going to pay attention to your issue. That's kind of a no-no.
Right.
Democrats abroad is not anything abroad. It's a group in the United States that's designed to simply, get individuals abroad to vote.
Well, I think the word you were about to say was exploit. I mean, that's what I heard. So it seems like they're there to exploit by, I think it's
absolutely are.
By ginning up fear and anxiety, division. I mean, both parties do it, and not say, but that's their job, is just to get votes. But their job is not at all to get representation.
No, absolutely not. And this goes
no,
back,
not at all.
Back to 2011 when the Isaac Brock Society was still a thing. There was a lot of discussion of DA and how they ignored the issue and just their shocking and callous disregard for individuals living right now. I'm not saying for members of Democrats abroad tax who may be listening or will hear this. I do admire your work in general. I admire your commitment, and I believe that you are sincere. I do not believe your party is sincere. Okay.
There you go. By the way, hey, Suzanne's here. Hey, Suzanne, last election was a few thousand votes here and there. Democrats better wake up. Yeah, good point. Right on. Thanks for joining us, Suzanne.
So DA is working very hard to not interfere with the status quo and pretend it's not an issue. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, next. I think the task force sends mixed messages. Okay. I don't know about that thing the other night. I mean, I think it was very unfortunate for them that right at the moment, that the Trump thing is hitting the news. They're busy, trying to get direct file.
Yeah. So what we're talking about? Oh boy, I don't know if I put that up on my screen this morning here. But so the response, I mean, I don't know if it was it ended up being the response. I don't know if it was the intentional response.
It was not a response.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. It's tone deaf.
It was incredibly tone deaf. So what Democrats abroad task force did is they had a Zoom bomb where they held up signs that said, what, direct file now? Is that what it said? Something like that?
This new initiative where, basically America's joining the world and people can file online. Americans abroad are excluded. Of course, their returns are a lot more complex. But the point is simply that. And I say this, I want to emphasize with affection, respect, okay, and support for everybody who's trying to solve this problem, including Democrats abroad, okay. As sort of, it really seems to me that to be spending your time asking for direct file is kind of to assume the legitimacy of citizenship taxation, right?
Yeah.
They would argue,
Right. Exactly. Right.
they would
Right.
argue it differently, but I don't think so. Okay.
No, and fortunately, I did see some that I guess the direct file just doesn't even work. It won't even work for Americans abroad at all. So it's like, well, okay, we're looking for the thing that can't
Not
solve the
addressing
problem.
the issue. Yeah. Okay. Next. Republicans overseas. Okay. And again, these are objective facts. Has been working on this, I think, in a much more significant way since somewhere in the, around 2012, 2014. They are responsible for the FATCA legal action lawsuit. They're responsible for the Meadows FATCO hit. They're responsible for the holding bill. Significant proposal this year, for their view of what RBT means and the Trump announcement. So again, I'm not, I put this up here because, in the community of Americans abroad generally, there's this sort of assumption that somehow, only Democrats abroad tax or something is, that is absolutely incorrect. I mean, and because there's a lot of hostility towards Republicans, I'm just telling you, everybody, as an objective, simple, indisputable fact, these are things that Republicans overseas has been involved with. Next.
Yeah. Oh, and I would say this on the thing that did infuriate me that Rebecca said, and she was quoted as saying this. She said that this is pandering for votes. And by solving the problem, by proposing to solve the problem that's affecting people, you're pandering. And John, I think you see it the other way. Is that right? Do you see?
Like this is kind of this. If this were really an announcement, look, I think everything in politics is in part marketing and designed to get votes. But it does seem to me that if this were really aimed at trying to get out of the vote from abroad, it might have been an earlier announcement. Okay. But
yeah, a lot of people voted already. It's too late. Right.
I don't know. That aside, a point I made on Twitter yesterday, which I think I'll make right here, is you know what? Basically, it's the right thing to solve this problem.
Yeah, right.
There's never a wrong time to do the right thing. Okay. And I think that, the people need to get on board. The other point I would make is this, that, the election is one thing, but regardless of who's elected, tax reform is on the agenda this upcoming year. And, I think that the Republic, whoever this President Trump, Republican, what have you, okay, that center of, of activity has done a very, very great favor and service to all Americans. All right. By getting this thing on the agenda, because one of the things that I've noticed, reading all the comments about this is that a few people are picking up on the fact that, oh my God, does this mean I'm not really free to leave the United States?
Right.
You got that right, buddy. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right. No, and I really think that's really the political genius, that marketing genius of Trump. When you say end citizenship-based taxation, no one knows what that means. Say, hey, stop double taxation. Oh, what? That's what you get. And so, I mean, it's really, raising the profile of the issue as well. At the same point, advocating for it and raising the profile to build public support for something. Again, really, well, you don't have to like Trump to appreciate that's a gift. That's a gift.
And I think it's brilliant to keep it simple at double taxation. Exactly. Of course, it's not all inclusive, but if he had come out and said, end citizenship-based taxation, people would be scratching their heads like, what is that? And then there would need to be further explanation. This is perfect.
The phrase citizenship taxation makes it sound like it's a reasonable obligation or patriotic. The phrase
exactly.
Hey, what's going on, right?
Yeah.
Over the last few days,
I don't want to get this up here. Yeah, Thomas Frank. I have his article up here. I think here.
Yeah. So there's this guy, Thomas Frank, has written some really interesting books. Listen, liberal, what's the matter? But what it basically is, trying to make sense of some of this politics, the Democratic Party. It's really a discussion of the Democratic Party over the last 30 years or so, and how it has been transformed itself from being a party that cares about ordinary people, for example, Americans abroad trying to make a living in another country, to to sort of elite financiers and stuff like that. The people, for example, who run the vote from abroad brigade. Okay,
Right.
These kinds of people, right?
Well, I think we had that quote by Larry Summers. I mean, we got that video up, but what was that? Larry Summers talking about kind of these issues. Remember?
I don't remember the specific video.
Well,
but
he was saying, he goes, yeah, we kind. It was something like this. Yeah, I'm going to paraphrase what he was saying. We had the quote up. Larry Summers, the ex-Treasury, right? He was ex-Treasury or president of Harvard.
He was Treasury Secretary under, I think, the Clinton administration.
Right. So Larry Summers is like, yeah, kind of the whole thing is that we're going to appeal to the regular issues, but trust me, the big guys are going to win. He's basically explaining how, the entire, how the hustle works. Like, yeah, we're kind of going for that vote of regular people, trying to help them with the regular issues. But trust me, the people who are going to get their policies through are the hyper wealthy like me. It was really an amazing admission from him. So, I mean, that's kind of what it is. And all right.
Well, I would recommend books by Thomas Frank. I mean, they're good. You may not disagree with everything in them, but they're good. And if you want to get a sense, if you look at the Democratic Party today, which in fairness, I think is a party who doesn't give a damn about any regular person.
No.
That explains, you see, I think this is important. That explains why, where the support for Trump, President Trump comes from, right? I mean, my view of the situation has always been that Trump's sort of rise to power was primarily, I mean, there are some people who supported President Trump. That's not quite the same thing as voting for him. I mean, most of it is just a pure hatred of the Democratic Party, and that's how they express their hostility towards the Democrats, is you vote for Trump, right?
Yeah.
And here's an article out of the Boston Globe last year that I really thought was interesting, because this is I didn't reread it last night, but I just located and put up the link. I remember it well enough. It's it's a pastor somewhere in Massachusetts who's saying, look, wake up and smell the coffee. Okay, the Democrats are losing support because you're not paying attention to regular people anymore. But anyway,
yeah.
And by the way, we see that, right, in response to the citizenship tax issue. Shut up. You don't matter.
Yeah, exactly. It's a shut up. Your issues aren't legitimate. Hey, here's direct file.
As a way, as I pointed out earlier, it's really a good thing for the wealthy, so they can leave. We don't care about you. Next. So anyway, and then of course, back in 2016, we have Hillary Clinton's unbelievable basket of deplorables moment, right?
That's amazing.
Where she essentially says to everybody, well, if you're not a Democrat, you're a deplorable. I mean, this woman is seriously out of her mind. Talk about tone deaf. I mean, that was one of the great, I mean, that ought to be required viewing for anybody organizing a political campaign for anybody. Okay. How to undo months of hard work in 30 seconds. Why don't we call it advice? Avoid a Hillary moment. Okay. But I mean, that was just extraordinary. But anyway, moving on.
Right. Yeah, right on.
To demonize the Democratic Party, although I will make no secret of my contempt for them. Okay. That's not really my point. My point is that this is the last place you look, okay, if you want any relief for any normal people. Okay. Next.
I have a question, and I don't know in what part of, John, your presentation I should ask this, so I'll pose it, and you tell me if it will be addressed. Let's say, what do you say to those Americans overseas who have the ideology of a Democrat because they are a Democrat, and they are suffering under citizenship-based taxation or double taxation? What should they do? Should they focus on pushing back on the Harris campaign? Should they just hold their nose and vote for Trump? I think that's a reasonable question that's out
I think I think it's a reasonable question, Keith. My view, I mean, I think, when we think about these problems in life, we think about what we know for sure, first of all. What we know for sure is the Democrats do not support the end of citizenship taxation. That we know for sure.
That we know.
Therefore, you're not going to vote for them. So you're not going to vote for the Democrats. All right. Now, I think Lawrence O'Donnell, damn, I wish I meant to include that video a number of years ago. There's a video, and I'll actually send it over later. But, his point is simply this, that when it comes to the Democrats, you have to show them that you're capable of not voting for them. Otherwise, they just think
that was a video. I'm sorry, it wasn't Larry Summers. That was the video that we did.
Oh, Lawrence O'Donnell. Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I had the wrong. Right. He was right. Exactly. He was one like.
No, he's exactly right. So,
you mean Lawrence O'Donnell of MSNBC?
Yeah, but it's an older video.
Yeah.
I can find it, and we can maybe show it next time. But in fact, I simply forgot to include it. I was gonna include it. But the point here is this: that you can't vote for the Democrats, can you? Now, does that mean you vote necessarily for the Republicans? No.
No.
There are other options, etc. No question about that. Or, write-in ballots. I mean, I've often suggested that people should be voting for Keith and Anthony. You could write in, Keith or Anthony or
There you go. Never Keith or Anthony. That'd be interesting.
The point is that, unfortunately, a vote for the Democrats is a vote for the status quo. It's a vote for the continuation of exactly the problems that got us here. So, up to you. But I think that it is wrong to see this as a digital world, Democrats versus Republicans. I also think that, if enough people made it clear that they were not voting for Democrats because of this, that might make a difference. So the real question is, I think, without providing an answer, is how do you use your vote to express that this is a big issue for you? But remember, Keith, the problem is it's not a big issue. Okay.
Yeah.
In your group, which I look at from time to time, one of the most extraordinary, I mean, you're always telling me there's 10,000 members. Well, you had a post up saying, like this post, if you oppose citizenship taxation. There's only like 500 people who bothered to like it. I mean, what does that mean? The rest of them,
Right.
I mean, it's really incredible stuff. But anyway, next.
There it is.
Okay, so that opens it up, basically the discussion here. And there's one thing that I want to address, myself before getting into maybe some questions. But there's been all this stuff on Twitter or X.com saying, well, Kamala Harris should come out with a statement that she supports ending double taxation. I'm actually not sure that's true. Actually, I'm not sure there's any I think that the Democrats in true Democratic style are just going to try to ignore the issue.
Yeah.
But I wonder, I mean, would it be better for her? I mean, she can't make a statement and saying my statement is I have no position. So really, there's two options. The statement could be, yes, of course, I want to end double taxation of Americans abroad. Or she could say, absolutely not. The existing rules are in place to ensure that the wealthy cannot evade U.S. taxes by going to tax havens. And I think that probably that's what she should do.
Right. Make a point. Right. Yeah. Either way, hon. Either way. You got to tell us how you feel.
Get up there and say, as a proud Democrat, the Democratic Party and I am committed to the principle of citizen-based taxation. I align myself with Senators Whitehouse, Warden, and Wyden.
That's right. It's because
to ensure fairness.
Double taxation is essential to ensure the wealthy pay their fair share.
Exactly. And fairness in the tax system.
Fairness.
I think that might be a better response, actually.
Than the nothing, right? We're not going to really get it. So
anyway.
All right. Well, yeah. So, and this is kind of where I'm at on this, as I kind of think about all of this, and that, I was probably more of a, hardcore Republican back in the day. And one of the things that ended it for me One of the things that ended it for me was this. In 2008, it was John McCain versus Barack Obama. And I remember getting into a political debate with someone else about how much of a better candidate now, and I'm really laughing at myself here, about how much of a better candidate John McCain was over Barack Obama. And it was my most impassioned political debate of all time. And, the other side, my opponent was giving it back to me, right? And here's the thing. I really didn't like John McCain, but I didn't like Barack Obama. But I really didn't like John McCain. There are many things that bothered with me. So one of the things I realized, like, you know what? The time you're going to argue most impassionately, with most emotion, most illogically, is when you actually don't agree with the person you're supporting. And this is really the problem that we have. We have two packages. We have two packages to choose from. And these packages, how they're defined and designed, it's kind of weird if you think about it. It's really kind of weird, like what goes in package A and package B. Brand A has this, brand B has this. And that's what we're given as choices. But there's no way in any meaningful way that either package could completely fulfill us as human beings. It doesn't make sense. But yet we're forced into this, okay, this way or that way. And then you start looking at the other side as a bunch of morons who just, why don't they like our side? Now this is where I am now. Now I totally understand why people can't stand Republicans. I totally get it. I still can't stand Democrats because really it's that we're conditioned into these camps, and that and this is what I'm seeing, that this reaction to Trump's solving this problem is just merely showing how programmed Americans are to this duality that makes no sense whatsoever. It makes no sense. And it seems like we're kind of forced into this thing to divide us, to make sure that the will of American people can never be met because we're fighting each other. Meanwhile, Washington, D.C. always seems to get its way. The richest counties in the world are now surrounding Washington, D.C. And we just see it again and again. And so that's what I really see this as this reaction is really the function about how completely programmed the American mindset is, that we, to believe the news. The news has always been lying. The government always lies. I mean, the government's job is to lie to us. It doesn't tell the truth. Why would it tell the truth? The government takes away power from us. That's its entire point. And it gives it to the powerful. That's the entire point of this. And we're acting like, well, this party's going to help us. This party's not going to help us. Well, guys, we're divided a little bit here. So that's why I want to kind of take a look at what's actually said and what people are doing, and maybe don't give in to the tribalism, because it really is. And I think this is the thing, is I did post this, I asked Grok, what's a cult? How do I know I'm in a cult? Right? And one way to know you're in a cult is you do something that's totally against your own interest. That means you are in a cult. When you do that, you are creating a fiction of a goal that can't be attained because you are in a cult. So if someone's telling you that this thing that is making your life impossible, no, that's the real, the real issue here is voting rights in America or whatever it is, you are in a cult. You are totally in a cult. And if you believe that the only way you will find meaning in this world is if the United States of America exports its big stick around the globe, and that's somehow going to have to benefit you. When people around the world are bombed by American bombs, people you don't know, people who you have no idea what it is, if you think that is going to help you, you are in a cult. You are in a cult. That's where we are. And I think that's what we have. That's what we have. The parties have put people in cults. It's us versus them, right? It's us versus them. And that's the dynamic that always wins over us. And now here is the political outsider to a degree. I mean, he's somewhat adopting some positions I'm not a big fan of. But here's a political outsider who comes in with a sledgehammer to the whole narrative. Let's end at double taxation. And that's a hard thing to overcome. because there's the problem right there. And that's what we've been talking about. The problem is double taxation. And now it's a difficult position to defend. And that's why, Keith, you want to share some of these other lovely messages you've given as a result of your advocacy work to help these people, Keith?
Yeah.
Do you want to share some of the wonderful messages that you got?
Yeah, I'll share another one. I'm just kind of scrolling through because I need to share one that's not too inflammatory for this. So you're going
Oh,
to
I want that one.
Oh, here
but
we go.
Just censor it. Yeah, go ahead.
So we have Donna Lee, who is a member of the American Expatriates group that I founded. You could not believe anything that effing Trump says, and you should not be filling people's heads with this shit, Keith Redmond. I think it's time to block your sorry ass now. Isn't that something?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
For merely sharing
This
Donald
is from
Trump's
Donna
right.
Lee. Donna Lee. Not our friend, but Donna
Right,
Lee.
right. Donna Lee, somebody different.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah,
Yeah,
not our
yeah.
good friend. Yeah, right
I
on.
mean, I mean, you know what? These people are out of their minds. And I go back to what John said. They are not serious. They do not want to have an end to double taxation or citizenship-based taxation. Because what she could have said was, you know what? Thank you for the information. I'm not a fan of Donald Trump. I'm going to take this and I'm going to go to my party and I'm going to push back because I want to hear what Kamala Harris says about this or what Democrats abroad says about this. Are they supporting the ending of double taxation? Now, that would be a reasonable, logical, civil way to respond.
But that's because, and that's the thing, because, as I say, the programming is that strong that you support people, and you're supporting ideas you don't agree with. And that's why they're going to lash out in the way they are. Now, you said you had a more inflammatory one. Can you share that?
No,
I kind of want to hear that one.
No, I mean,
if you could just sort of.
The other ones were like, I'm abrasive. I'm a bully. I'm putting ideas in people's heads. He's a liar. He's not going to do anything. And maybe he is a liar. Maybe he is. I don't.
Yeah, right. I know, right. I'm not asking.
I have my own views, and I do think he's a liar. But that doesn't matter because he came out with this statement, and this is the first person who's ever come out with this statement. So if you think he's a liar, then push back on your own party.
Right. And I mean, look, we played that his statement there. He couldn't be any more clear.
Right.
And he's like, I want to own this issue. I want to own it. And the fact is, and this is the thing we've talked about, hey, look, there could be a legislative fix, but through the regulations, this issue can be fixed by a mere definition of a change of what an individual is and an individual residing in the U.S. I mean, so he's owning it 100%. Right. So now he may be lying, right? He may be lying, but he put it out there.
Yes, he did. And I'm intentionally stating on this podcast that I'm not a fan of his because I know there are a lot of people in the same boat as me, but that does not negate what he stated.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got some. All right. Let's get to some comments. We got a lot. Go ahead, John.
I just sent you over an email. Okay. That includes a link to the Lawrence O'Donnell thing. I mean, it's a very short clip. If you want to put it up to you.
All right. Yeah. You get that here.
This actually comes from, give a shout out, a blog post by on the Seat site by Laura Snyder a few years ago. Maybe put up a blog post and then it links down to that clip of Lawrence.
To the video. Okay, let me get this up here. Cat. I love that. Cats and pearls. Sorry, there you go. Here we got the video in here. Is that the one with the?
So if you get the blog post up. Okay, and about 2/3 the way down, there's a link to the video. I can actually send you the direct YouTube link. Do you want me to send that over to you?
I think I got it. I think I'll. I'm sharing. Hang on, I gotta stop that. Share the actual tab. Yeah, this is the one. Is that the video right there? Hold on. Oh, there you go.
No. Go down. Keep going down. Keep going down.
There we go. There we go. Here it is. Yeah, this is amazing. Yeah.
If you want to pull the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them.
because the way the Democratic Party is run now for quite a number of presidential cycles is they pick a nominee in a kind of half-assed process that doesn't really represent much of anybody. And then they tell
Wait, I just got to stop that.
Up.
This video was before 2024, by the way. So.
Don't bring up anything that will complicate life for your nominee. You know he's not for you on this. Why badger him? He's not going to be for you for reasons that you don't understand, but are good reasons. Shut up. Turn off your brains.
If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
Wow. Wow.
Well, there you have it, right? And that's what the whole vote from abroad brigade thing is really based on. It's sort of this view that 80% or something was the stat they used of Americans overseas vote Democrat or something. So it's really just not persuading them to vote for Dem, but just getting out the vote, right? I mean, that's their view of it. But unfortunately, I mean, what's extraordinary to me is that again, the problem is the community of Americans abroad primarily. It's not even Congress or Treasury,
I know,
or even the political parties. It's as though in the last video I used the analogy of the steel curtain, the Pittsburgh steel curtain. Okay, I mean, Americans abroad are the steel curtain protecting citizenship.
Double taxation. We got to protect them. It's critical. Really, thank you, sir. May I have another? Oh.
It's laughable. It's laughable. But
It
anyway,
is laughable. All right. Hey, we got, we're attracting a lot of attention. So, and I do see that we have a lot of new viewers joining us today. So I want to get to some comments, and they're coming in a lot. So hopefully we'll see what we get. This is a fun part of the show where we get the comments here. Yeah, I mean, I think here we go. Suzanne, thank you. Suzanne was bright and early. Exactly. This is, I think now, this is the thing. I would say, look, in the past, the overseas vote has never been galvanized. There's never been anyone ever saying, hey, here's an issue specific to you. Here's an issue specific to you, and I am going to address it. That's never been done. So, I mean, we're in uncharted territories here. This is it. It just, I mean, it demoralized. I mean, really, and Keith, this is what I would say is that these reactions and all these unhinged reactions you get, that is Democrats being demoralized as they're faced with their cognitive dissonance. It's like, wait a second. And that's the thing. Cognitive dissonance is what really drives a lot of these emotional reactions. I don't think it's too late. I don't think it's too late, Gabe. I don't think it's too late. I think there's time to get, do that.
Look, okay. This type of talk, right, is not helpful. All right. I appreciate that.
Yeah. No, Gabe, it's definitely not too late.
Because bear in mind, okay, that this announcement is, well, really three purposes. All right. First of all, it actually is a statement of the correct moral principle. Let's start with that. Okay. And there's never a wrong time to state the correct moral principle. Okay. The second thing is that arguably, although I agree it's somewhat late, it may have an impact on how people vote in this election. However, 1 and 2 pale compared to 3. What this has done is move this discussion closer to being in the public domain so that it has a chance of factoring into tax reform. Okay. So for God's sake, people, do not think that this is somehow a one-off, done, irrelevant deal that you're going to forget about. Absolutely not. Republicans overseas and President Trump have done a great, great service for Americans abroad by going a long way and forcing this issue into discussion for tax reform.
Yeah. Amazing. Yeah. And the reaction is just incredible. Sanjay Joe. Thanks for joining us today. Americans abroad who oppose ending citizenship-based taxation are not truly Americans abroad. They are homeland Americans abroad. Yep, there you go. They are not impacted by these
Absolutely.
issues.
Absolutely.
Not at all. They don't care. Whatever. Yeah, right. They don't want to change anything.
Hi, Joe.
Yeah, right. Thank you for this comment, Chad. Thank you. Thank you very much for this. Oh, no. You're wrong.
Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Chad, so here's the thing. This is the thing. And this is why I'm pretty excited about this. Look, the US tax code is written so poorly. It's written so poorly because no one really wanted it. So they kind of had to like, hey, how do we get this piece of crap through? That what it does, this is what the income tax does. And this is always a debate I would have with people, who say, hey, there's no law that show me the law that says the income is taxable. And I would say, oh, here's Title 26. Here's the beginning of it. But if you look at the law, it's really written poorly. There shall be a tax on income. Okay, what does that mean? But then it goes through. It's like the only time individual is defined in the law, it never really is. It's only implicated because there's only a few things we know about individuals. They could be single, married, widowed, head of household. Those are the things we know about what individuals can be. Other than that, we have no idea. Other than that, the regulations define what an individual is. Is somebody who cannot, is under 18 an individual? Well, under 18, you don't have legal capacity to sign any contract. Should that make you a taxpayer? What about if you're mentally incompetent? Should you be still subject to the entire law? Maybe there needs to be a definition of, a totally different definition, or actually saying an individual is someone who is in the United States. There it is. It's a regulatory fix. He doesn't need to go to Congress because I think the problem is that if he did need Congress, I wouldn't think this would go anywhere, but he doesn't. He doesn't need Congress to do it. Now he can threaten the change and maybe make it and then put it in a tax reform package. That would probably be a better way to do it than a regulatory change. Because hey, look, someone could come back and change that regulation. So he can do it. He can do it through his Treasury Secretary. Thanks so much for that comment.
Yeah, listen, to put it very simply, just look it up. Treasury regulation, number one, defines individual as a citizen or resident. All that needs to happen is for the definition in the regulation to say resident. There's no question this can be done. And this was, the subject of a paper that I did with Dr. Laura Snyder and Dr. Karen Alpert a few years ago called "The Regulatory Fix for Citizenship Taxation." Look it up.
Yeah, right on. Here it is. Democrats, you might want to respond with something a little bit more than direct file. Here's a vote. Here is a vote that is now going to Trump. There it is. So how many more like that are there? We got someone here. Crucial Sparks. Who are you? What does it make someone make a big deal that Trump says he's a professional con man? It's just like, well, it could be. And I know, and I think that's the point. We're not asking you to believe him, but what we're asking you to do is like, wow, that's huge. He is proposing it. Whether he's lying or not, I can't tell you. But wow, he made this the thing. So this is now the thing we should be looking at. And now here's the problem that you have is Kamala Harris has to defend double taxation.
Really, I mean, come on here. It doesn't matter, out of something Trump says, it's the effect of it which has gotten this issue into mainstream discussion. That's the point. You don't have to make a big deal of anything Trump says. Okay, it's the result of making the statement that has got this thing in all kinds of blog posts, social media, publications, etc. I mean, the great gift here is that it's opening this up for discussion.
Right. Yeah, and this is fantastic for our channel. Thank you, Donald Trump. Really, it's finally you're bringing it to the forefront. We're no longer in the back pages, right? We've been moved up. So I can't think of enough for bringing this to the forefront and putting it in a way that people can understand. Let's see here. Oh, it's Suzanne's doubtful too. She's doubtful to go through. You know what, Suzanne, you might be right. But again, it's part of the discussion now, right? And maybe this time it won't. But hey, look, if we all, let's end double taxation. If that's on the lips of every American, it's going to go away, right? Sensei Joe, Americans overseas should have the rights other foreigners do. Yeah, that would be amazing, huh? If American citizenship wasn't second class, and this is the thing. I remember I met Jim Bossert at Republican Overseas in 2017 at the FATCA hearing. And, he just came to me, he's like, yeah, this great, like we're really doing a good thing for Americans here by trying to end this. And he just said, because he was in Hong Kong for years, he goes, look, I know firsthand, there are jobs, great jobs at great companies around the world that won't go to Americans. Why? Because of double taxation, citizenship-based taxation. And right. And I mean, that's the thing, like every American, your opportunity is limited by this. Look, maybe you don't want to go overseas, but guess what? If you do, it's going to be punitive. Do you like having your options limited? Is that what it means to be American? To say, well, yeah, the option of living a life overseas like any other person in the world. Yeah, no, I don't want that. I want my government to punish me if I dare to do that. That's what I want, right? No one's really voting for that. Yeah, and then here you go. Borchell, yep, there are options besides just two. This is in response to your writing candidate, Democrats and Republic frauds. And when someone says that, I mean, look, they do work together in conjunction, it seems.
Well, on that point, right? I mean, they're both, where they're in full agreement, right, is they want to monopolize the political process.
Right.
I mean, like I live in.
Yeah, there you go. Right. Yeah.
Canada, as you know, where there's Canada's a small population. There's three major telecom companies. There's Bell Canada, TELUS, and Rogers Communications. And sure, they compete against each other. But what unites them, right, is another competitor entering the market, right? Yeah, and I think that's kind of, the same thing that's going on here. I mean, I cannot understand. Why? I mean, I cannot get this through my brain. Okay. Why people think that if you don't vote for a Democrat, you're voting for a Republican or vice versa. I cannot understand that. And in fact, I think a nice podcast, whatever discussion would be, what do you do if you don't want to vote for a Democrat or something?
Yeah, right. I mean, there's other things to do. You don't have to do,
remember the wisdom of Laura O'Donnell.
And I'm kind of thinking about that, right? It's like, and the Republicans have it too. It's like, well, who else you gonna vote for, huh? Who's gonna be there for you? We have to protect against them. And then the fundraising letters, and they're just using agitation against each other as fundraising, They're just right. They're united. I would say this, people are trenching their side to see that if it took something like this to their leaders and demanded they do something, might change. Instead, they attack the person suggesting change. Isn't that crazy, right? Now, and this is a great, for those who doubt that Trump would do something about this is a great point brought up by Jason Miller. Why put a spotlight on an issue just to lie about it, right? That is a good point. Why would Trump make this a thing? Because he could just ignore it like everybody else. But he's the one who's like, oh, here, let me bring it to the forefront. Okay, great. Now that I brought this to the forefront, right? And so let's just say this. So Trump is running on this. Do you think Democrats would use this as a campaign weapon? Say, look how much Trump lied. He promised to get rid of double taxation and he didn't do anything. He's the one who brought it up. He could simply go along with the status quo when no one would even know. We only know about it because he stuck his neck out on this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And interesting. I mean, it's very interesting to me. The confusion of the issue. With general hostility towards Trump. It's fascinating to me that the Republican Party has been absolutely on the right side of the moral issue on this for years. The Democrats are not. And somehow the Republicans are immoral. This is what they say. I mean, this is like Orwellian doublethink. All right.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you know Solomon and Jim, the real concerns are for, hey, look, we want people to be prosperous. We just want regular people to be prosperous. That's all.
Yeah. I've been a shout out to them, Solomon, you, Jim Gossert and that, people. I've known them for years, and they really have worked and continue to work on this. And they do, they regard this as an issue of great principle.
It is. I think it's a moral issue. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I don't see Jim.
Keith, did you have to hop off, Keith?
Well, I do, but I mean, I have an appointment at 8:30, and I'm in front of my appointment, so I'm okay
Oh,
for the
you're
moment.
good. All right, good.
But
All right.
but here's my question: the
Yeah.
people who are pushing back on Trump, you know, and they're obviously the people who are pushing back are Democrats, and they're Democrats abroad. But I don't hear any of them saying, "Wait a minute." Democrats abroad are trolling for votes and they're not even bringing up our issues. They're ignoring them entirely. Where's the pushback on that? Where is the pushback on that? Or are
Well,
they
and I
just
would say
falling
there
in
is,
line
yeah.
like good soldiers under the Democrats abroad umbrella? Where are you, Democrats abroad? And I don't mean the organization, you as a Democrat abroad. Why aren't you pushing back on your party? And why asking them why are they ignoring your issues? Why?
Well, and Jason's next comment, kind of something that I noticed. I'm like, well, I noticed Bernie Sanders was winning the Democratic primary in 2016 and in 2020, but neither time was he the Democratic candidate for president. And now this year, I mean, there hasn't even been a vote. Not one vote was cast for the Democratic presidential what? She didn't win one primary. She didn't get one vote. She wasn't running. And so, I mean, I think the thing is there's zero Democrat about the Democratic Party. There's no, you are told what to do. And because you have no other place to go, you are going to do what they tell you to do. What are you going to do? Vote for the evil Republicans, right? So, I mean, I think that's where we are. Borchelle, thank you so much for this. Anthony, you're on money here. The government is here to take power from individuals that lie to you in the process of doing the same, right? And I mean, this is the thing you understand. In what circumstance does the government have an incentive to tell you the truth? Why? Why would the government ever want to tell you the truth? What benefit is it for the government to tell you the truth? So I would just leave you with that one. Here's a all right. We're getting a wide array today. Diddy is going to expose the Democrats. Sorry for those of you who might have missed the story. Puff Daddy, government asset, honey trap. A lot of bad things on powerful people that may be coming out. Who knows? Could be. Who knows? Let's see here. Biggest Democrat is actually Republican politician vice versa. Yeah, exactly. Same thing. Same right. They are in it. Right. Exactly. Thank you, Burchell. Yeah. And yeah, when are they going to address the huge federal debt? Well, I don't know. I don't. This is what I would.
That's not the point of this call.
No, and I would just say this is like that. The point. That's another discussion. Yeah, we'll have to move on, and we have talked about that. What happened to valid legal claims against the wealth of U.S. government via Rebecca? What happened, Gabe? It's all the wealth of. I'm not sure what that is. Double taxation ends with democracy. I don't think I will surrender. Yes, I don't like Trump, but I applaud his initiative. That's a good one. Nice. All right, here's a technical question. To avoid filing FBAR, I'm considering just bringing all my money in the U.S., even though I live in Canada. I have a small condo in Florida. I'm retiring. If you can't beat them, join the board. And that's really what it's about, right? I mean, that's a common thing that we run into. A lot of our clients, we're doing their tax prep year after year, and they're tired of a $4,000 tax prep bill, tired of a $5,000 tax prep bill. Like, hey, look, yeah, if you move this investment to the U.S., your return will be a little bit more reasonable. All right, And so, that's kind of the protectionism of it as well.
All well and good. Since you say you live in Canada, I want to remind you that Canada has similar reporting rules, Form T1135. Be careful.
Be careful. There we go. Right. Look at this. Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, come on. Well, Suzanne, the lack of Congress to work together. Oh, but when do they work together, Suzanne? Right?
Why are we being negative?
Okay. Well, and I would just say they know when to come together for those continuing resolutions, right? Of like spending. Oh, we don't know what to do, but we agree on this tax policy, right? It's funny, isn't it? Doug, thank you so much for your comment here. Good work, gents. Congrats on getting this top levels, right? I mean, right? We did.
Hi, Doug. I think I know Doug, actually.
Yeah, Doug, I know Doug.
Doug, thank you so much. Right. We are at the top levels here. We are not in those back pages. We're not in a little classified ad. Hey, if you're interested in citizenship-based taxation, write a self-strip envelope too. IRS medic. No, we are on the front page. Yeah, we are there. Like, hey,
Anthony,
There.
announcement here that just came in on my phone while we're
Yeah.
talking. And I realized this earlier, but ACA, is American Citizens Abroad, published a short one paragraph thing either yesterday or early morning. They are endorsing President Trump's proposal.
Oh my.
And that,
Good for
Wow.
them. Good for them.
Yeah.
Wow.
That
ACA.
is-
Wow.
absolutely. I mean, that is,
Whoa.
I think, a great endorsement of the correct principle here, a great endorsement. Okay. And they regard themselves as a nonpartisan expat group, etc., whatever. Okay, but the point is that they have endorsed this as well. So I think the problem is it's so contrary to what the Democratic Party stands for to endorse this, but it is interesting, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And then, here's another, here's a comment from the other side. Hey, the only danger to democracy Trump poses is that what the left will do when he wins. They are dangerous. Well, I would just say the system's dangerous. The system is dangerous. Let's just make sure that we are aware of that. And it is in collusion. They are working together. And when we just blame one party, we're falling into that trap. We are falling into the trap we're accusing the other side of doing. So we want to watch that.
The problem is that, I mean, America may or may not be a functioning democracy, but it's got a long way to go before it's the kind of democracy where the votes of individual Americans matter.
There you go. Right. Yeah. No matter what. Right.
And
Yeah. Yep.
that ought to be the way, the silent majority, the masses think is. I don't think this is an issue of Democrats or Republicans, so much. I think that the issue here is to what extent do the interests and votes of the voters actually make a damn bit of difference?
Right.
I think that's the long-term threat and Democratic issue. When you got the Democrats, not running primaries, installing, leaving aside whether she's a good or a bad candidate, installing Kamala Harris, as sort of their president. I mean, that really is disrespectful to individual voters. And then they go out and say, well, now vote for us anyway.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's completely,
really incredible.
Yeah. Yeah. Doug, yeah, this is why we do think, and I would say the regulatory fix is not as good, but the threat of the regulatory fix could be negotiating to make it a legislative fix so that it could be more permanent because, right, that could just get reversed. You're absolutely right. That would be the problem with that. Absolutely. Let's see here. So here's another, I used to not like Trump's policies, but I think enough interest groups, Bitcoin voters abroad, SEC reform, mostly support his policy proposals right now. Yeah. And a lot of them I do, one big one I don't, kind of interesting going on. But right. I mean, a lot of his policies are really, something are enviable. And he does seem to, this is the thing. Let's assume that he doesn't actually care about anyone. He's doing a good job of pretending. He's doing a really good job of pretending, and Democrats have to recognize that. The Democrats, you need to pretend harder because your pretending isn't working. It's not really working. Let's see here. What do you got here? Had it been Bernie versus Trump and Clinton, Bernie would have won. I think Reagan was the last time I saw that kind of enthusiasm from people all sides. Maybe, and maybe that's why they had to get rid of Bernie. And I think that, Bernie, and Bernie does the job of being, I think, the sheepdog, right? He's going to take all that populist sentiment and package it in Bernie. Then Bernie steps out of this picture and hands it over to the establishment Democrats, right? And that's sort of, that's the hustle. We see that same dynamic play all over. Like, here's the thing you really want. Okay, I'm going to go away and hand it over to this. And so he does his job seamlessly. He takes all that will and it makes it look like, right, the Democrats actually care about these issues when they don't really seem to. Could he end this versus executive order? Not an executive order. It would have to be a change to the regulations. I don't think the executive order would be, I don't know, the executive order, I changed these regulations. I don't know. Maybe somebody could comment on that.
I don't know the answer to that, but I think what's important for people to understand is, I mean, even today we see these comments coming in about Congress, etc. I mean, all of that is true, but the point is that, and we make this point time and time again, that a regulatory fix, although not the best solution, is possible. And I think that people need to concentrate on the possible rather than constantly droning on about how hard this is.
Yeah.
You're essentially creating the reality. It is just as easy in life to be enthusiastic and hopeful as it is to be negative. Okay. And again, I think a big part of the problems Americans abroad, and I would add to that their negativity. I'm American. There's nothing I can do. I mean,
Right.
come on.
Right. Gentlemen,
Well,
I have
yeah.
to go. I have
All
to
right,
go.
Keith. Thank you
This
so
has been
much.
good.
Enjoy your hate mail.
Thank you.
We look forward to it, and we'll probably be picking this up next week as some more of the stories develop on this. So thank you, Keith, so much.
Sounds good.
And John, we got a great comment from another one from Jason. Remember Dr. House, Hugh Laurie there. A total jerk, but save lives. But people prefer dying on principle than admitting that the jerk gets things right. I mean, there it is. That protection. It's like a protection of the ego, right? Like, here, adopt this belief system. Okay, now I have to protect this belief system. That's not mine, but I'm going to die with it because it's my entire identity. Oh man, it's something. All right, Sanjay, thank you so much for the comment. Really appreciate it. Wonderful. It's really been amazing. We've been doing this in relative silence, and now we are. Again, I got to thank President Trump for bringing this issue to the forefront. Now we actually can talk about it and see all the problems. And that's the thing. Our channel is loaded with the issues. I think, John, we got something like 400 videos on the myriad problems of double taxation. Really, if you look at how many videos and podcasts we've done, it's endless. And now finally someone is saying, yes, here it is. You hear it, here it is. And it's just amazing going on. So what do you think is going to happen next year, John? Where are we going to go? What's going to happen? Because we're going to do because we're going to be following this.
Yeah, I think we should reconvene a few more days and and see how this continues to develop. But what I think the themes here are that, number one, it's just as easy, to believe that something can be done as whether it can. It was the last time we talked about Henry Ford's quote, whether you think you can do it or you can't, you're right. And I am so tired of these comments. Well, this can never change. Go somewhere else, okay? This is about trying to figure out how to get it done, not listening to why it can't be done, okay? I think the regulatory fix thing is extremely important. And I don't see this as much of an election issue as I do about getting this into the mainstream discussion for the obvious tax reform. Okay.
Yeah. And that's why, what? And this is where, I got to share this. Thank you, Jason. Thank you. And this is what I would say, we're going to do. And this is really what I want everyone watching this to do. And everyone following us on Twitter is really, we're going to be on this issue. Okay. Hey, look, Trump gave us a promise. Right now, he's ahead in the polls. And who knows by how much and who knows how much. So he's elected. This channel is going to be on him all the time until it's done. And I look forward to meeting him in person. John Keith and I will meet in person when he does it. Until he does that, we're going to be on him. So what we're looking for everyone to do is we got to bring this issue to the forefront. Right? So if you're watching this, join us next time. We're going to see all the developments that happen. And if you have your developments, I like to get to the comments at the end, bring them up. Jack Dack, sorry, Jack, you sent me a lot of things today. I didn't have time. Actually, I think I did put one of the links you did put up there. I think I did put one of the links. I did get your things, Jack. Thank you so much. I really enjoy the community that we have here, exposing this and getting there. And here we are. We are no longer in the back pages. It's amazing. So I want to, thank Keith so much. Keith is really one of the people who brought us together. He left, but I want to thank John so much for his years. I mean, again, look at our library here at Iris Medic. How many presentations John has done dissecting the issue and explaining how terrifying it is. And this is probably the antimatter. It's the antimatter to the people who say the status quo is fine. We have the evidence. We have the dead bodies. They're all on our channel. So I want to thank John so much. And I guess I can. I guess I will invite Donald Trump to the podcast. I will do that today. We'll see if he takes me up on it. It'd be lovely. I might get a few views. We might get a couple extra views that day, right? So I will reach out to him and say, hey, love to have you on. Why not? I mean, the fact that he announced it was enough. I mean, this is like not even believable. It doesn't, John and I have been on this for years. I can't even. John, are you stunned, John? I mean, are you even believing what you were reading, watching? That it's actually a campaign issue.
Look, I've been involved with, the people who are Republicans overseas working on this issue for a decade. So yeah, I believe it. Okay. I mean, I think it's just a testament to hard work, focus, and staying on message. Okay.
There we go.
But Anthony, I have got to go. I've got a meeting in just a minute.
Right.
So, we'll talk soon.
Hey, by the way, just quick plug for John. If you are thinking about renouncing your citizenship, as a Toronto-based attorney, true, the great John Richardson. That's all I need to say. You can reach out to him at citizenshipsolutions@proton.mail. And also, let me give you a plug for my business here. I'm Anthony Parent, IRS Medic. I am now at Thaveau & Partners. I'm tax manager there, and we're handling a whole bunch of things. But you could reach us at the same great place, irsmedic.com. If you have an international issue, you can book a call here. If you just have a regular tax issue, we also do a lot of those. Go to irsmedic.com. Help, or even if you need tax preparation. So with that, again, I want everyone to subscribe. Follow us on Twitter. My Twitter's right here @_IRSmedic. And also John, here's Keith. Follow John @Keith_Redmond. And where's, there we go, John @expatriationlaw.com. Follow us on Twitter. You can watch us live on X. And we'll see you next time. It's getting exciting. Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.